right, and the grand finale here on the season finale of Across the Line. We're going to reconnect here with our old buddy, former Moncton Wildcat, now playing his wares here for the Vancouver Canucks, the one and only Mr. Conor Garland. Conor, welcome back to the show. Great to see you.
Hey, great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate taking some time here for us. Glad to always chat with one of our favorite Moncton Wildcats here. Last guy to win back-to-back scoring titles here in the Q since Sidney Crosby. So great to see you having some success here out west in Vancouver.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a long time ago. Getting old, so it's been almost getting on 10 years of my last game there.
Well, that's hard to believe you start getting old at 27, but like I said, a lot of games under your belt. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about how sort of you've enjoyed playing in Vancouver here since making the transition from Arizona.
Yeah, it's obviously probably as drastic as a change you can get, going from a small market in the desert to Western Canada, where it's nice and rainy most days there. So, but in a big market, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. The fans have been really great up there. They're a passionate group. That expect a lot out of their team. So it's been fun to play in that type of market.
Yeah, well, like I said, they seem to be happy to have you. Some interesting faces, I guess, in Vancouver with you. Obviously, playing for Coach Tocchet now, who you're familiar with from Arizona. How has it been basically since he's taken over as head coach and sort of been behind the bench here for the Canucks?
Yeah, Tocchet's great. He's someone where you know what you're getting each and every night, and each and every practice, you know what he expects. And I think as a player, that's something you want to play for. Where not much changes. If you're competing and you're playing hard and playing well, then you're going to get what you deserve. And I think that's why a lot of guys enjoy playing for him. I did as a young guy. He's a big reason why I'm fortunate to have played in the league for this amount of time. He wants guys that want to earn it and keep getting better and better. So I've had a blast playing for him in both places. When he got hired, I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, like I said, he's done well behind the bench, and sort of like you said, a guy that wants you to earn it, and you've really done a good job of that, of almost evolving your game a little bit here and really earning it both in Arizona and in Vancouver. How has your game sort of evolved from coming up through the AHL to earning your minutes here in the show with Vancouver?
Yeah, quite a bit. I would have a hard time, recognizing myself as a player watching both games from Moncton. Obviously, this year I was put more in a defensive forward role, and even the year prior, a lot of times playing on the shutdown line, which is hard to believe. So, in Moncton, I was more of just a strict point producer, ran the power play, and definitely like to cheat for offense from time to time. So, but you can't do that in the NHL, and it took me 2 years to perfect that. And I had a lot of great coach in the American League, and some guys that I'm very thankful for. I ran into along the road of my career that got me to where I am now. And it just goes to show if you put the time and you dedicate yourself to something, then good things will come about.
Yeah, well, no, like I said, and credit to you. Like I said, you've really, developed your game and been able to play here at the top level, almost similar to your teammate in Moncton, Ivan Barbashev, who just won his second Stanley Cup. Both high-end point getters that have really changed into third line, shutdown guys who can also put up points. Is that sort of almost a similar?
Yeah. Barbs is a special player, and there's not many guys in the league like him. He's evolved. Just as I would say, just maturing wise, like just keep getting older and older and getting better and better. Like his game is pretty similar to how he played in Moncton, how physical he was. He's scoring at a higher pace now than he did probably earlier in his career, but that's just from being young and being behind some older guys. And as time comes, you move up in the lineup, and he's a hard guy to play against, and someone I was fortunate to play with in my junior days. But now you see what he does. He can change a game with his speed and his physicality and still his scoring ability. So he's probably going to be a very sought after man this summer.
No, absolutely. Obviously, like I said, a big pickup for Vegas and a big part of their success this year in the playoffs. I guess another Moncton connection to your time in Vancouver here with the coaching staff was Bruce Boudreau, who played here in Moncton as well. Lots of Bruce there at his chance out in Vancouver this year. Maybe tell us about your experience playing for Bruce, who's a pretty fun-loving, go-lucky guy.
Yes, yeah, good man who made it fun coming to the rink each and every day, always in a good mood, and we definitely had a few of our conversations about Moncton, and it was a lot different when he was there compared to when I was. Some of the stories I heard, and some of the hot spots he would go to did not exist. So, but no, we would get on each other about who had a better junior career. So he loved to let me know he had more points than me in junior.
Oh, he was a sniper back in the day, no doubt. But hopefully he wasn't telling you too many Cosmo or Ziggy stories of where they used to hang out. No. Like I said, I suppose things have changed a little bit in Moncton too since you left. Obviously, you guys were filling the Coliseum at the time. New building here in the Avenir Center. I think you said you had a chance to check it out one time when you were up here in the past summer.
Yeah, so I get to see the outside of it. I don't know if they're playing in it yet, but I've heard a lot of great things. I actually fortunate to be playing for USA this year at the World Championships, and the staff for the US team was the same team for the World Juniors, and they were in the locker room that the Wildcats use. And they were letting me know there's a few pictures of me in there, and they had some great stuff, and they couldn't believe how nice of a facility it was. And they were saying it was better than most NHL rinks, so they were so impressed with it, and they loved Moncton, and that was it was pretty cool. I played for Team USA before, and I was close with one of the equipment guys, and he loved seeing some pictures of me as a junior guy. So it was pretty cool that they had that stuff up in there.
Yeah, there's a few pictures of you down there in the hallways, and like I said, it's a pretty sweet setup, pro style, sort of facility to hold those type of events. Obviously from the World Juniors, but like I said, you're well represented in the halls at the Avenir Center with some light up photos. So lots of photos of you still hanging around there. You said obviously coming back from the World Championships, but you're doing a bit of coaching yourself down in Florida. Maybe tell us a little about how you're staying involved here in the game during the off season.
Yeah, I go down and coach for actually under the V Red Prospects umbrella, I should say. It's run by my former GM Roger Shannon, and someone I've been fortunate to stay in touch with, and actually coach with before pre-COVID. That we coached in a tournament in New Hampshire. Now thinking back on the Quebec League guys were on that team. It's scary that they're all that old right now. So so I stayed in touch with him and became one of his coaches, and I enjoy it. I get to go down to Florida for a week and coach in a 4-day tournament for 12 to 15-year-olds, and I love it. I think it's a good way for me, obviously, to maybe think of what I want to do when I'm done playing, and get used to something like that. And it's interesting to see what coaches see from behind the bench, and it's also nice just to help some kids and teach them any way I can.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's some invaluable advice being passed on here to the players, but you mentioned getting an opportunity to play in the World Championships here as well. How great of an experience has that been for you to be able to compete and play here with Team USA?
Yeah, it's pretty special to me. When I was in junior, I was cut twice by the World Junior team. So the first time I ever got a chance to play for the US, I kind of said yes fast enough. I had a joke with my agent. I think we set the record for the fastest reply to their GM of hockey that will be going. So, and then this year I was fortunate enough to be one of the assistant captains on the team that, is something that will, be one of my memories of my career when I look back on it. I was pretty proud of, and be able to help some of the young guys that we had. We had a lot of college guys this year, and it was a really young group. To be one of their leaders, it was a blast. We had a great team. We had a 1-goal lead with a minute and a half to go in the semifinals, and ended up losing in overtime. So it hurt, and I'm sure. Hopefully, I'm in the playoffs the remainder of my career. But if not, I'm sure I'll be playing in a few more.
No, absolutely. And I'm sure they'd be glad to have you. But like I said, I'm sure you're looking forward to playing in the playoffs as well. You guys got, a decent young team out there in Vancouver. What do you sort of see coming up here in the near future for the Canucks and sort of your role within it? Because really at 27, you're sort of taking a veteran leadership role with that young team and are sort of one of the go-to guys.
Well, they have such a talented group, and we've really been killed the last 2 years by our starts coming out of the gate in the season. We just haven't been able to get our first win. It seems like this year we started off on 1-7, and then after that we're a really good team. We just you bury yourself so early, it hurts. But it's impressive to see some of the talent they have with Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Demko, and JT Miller, how good those guys are. And those guys are such good leaders and world-class players that just being one of the pieces around them, it's nice. It's nice to to have guys like that do drive the bus and how good they are. So it should be a really good year. That division is extremely tough.
Yeah.
So we have to be ready right from the start if you're going to want to make the playoffs, because there's 6 or 7 teams in that division that could easily make it.
Well, you're absolutely right. And like you said, sort of playing against some of the top talent in the league. There's another Connor out there in the Western Division, and Connor McDavid. What's it like sort of playing, real time against some of these guys? How fast is he really on the ice when you sort of have to match up with McDavid and some of the big guns out west?
Yeah. It's when you play against the younger guys that are the top players in the world, you don't really, I would say, not think about it, but it doesn't really strike you as much. Obviously, McDavid's the best player in the world, and we play against McKinnon and McCarr and Draisaitl and Eichel and those guys quite a bit in the West. First off. But for me, whenever I play Sidney Crosby, I think that's it's crazy. I almost stare at him the whole warm up. Just crazy to think around the ice with him. And I would say that's the difference when you play against guys you grew up that are still so good.
Yeah.
Bergeron, Marchand, Crosby, Malkin, those type of guys. It's crazy to be on the ice with them. So that's the only time it gives you a little awestruck.
No, like I said, I'm sure looking across and seeing some of your childhood sort of heroes will take a couple laps out of your warm-up watching them. But it's quite an experience to be able to play against them, in real life after watching them for that long. But, speaking of Crosby, I guess, some of the reasons that he's been so successful for so long in the league is how he prepares in the offseason. You got any plans for the summer here? What you're doing to get ready here for training camp?
I started lifting. I came back from Worlds and took about 5 days off, and then started to go again and working out. And then I'll probably start skating this weekend. So, but I haven't got on the ice for the past 2 weeks. Played in a couple golf tournaments and still rested my hips and groins and stuff like that for the time being. But yeah. I'll start this probably coming weekend, and then from there just keep picking it up.
Yeah. Is that, like you said, maybe, a week or two off sort of thing in the off season? Is that pretty much standard for most players now? Then sort of getting back on the ice, or?
Yeah, I think it all depends. I think I use the World Championships as an off season as well. It's a tournament and it's something you're trying to win, but it also is a benefit. I look at it as staying in shape and starting your summer already in shape. Yep. From playing 10 games. But I know some guys, don't skate for a while, and some skate right away. It all depends on how you feel. And I've had some summers I've come home when I was much younger and skated maybe 3 or 4 days later just because I enjoyed it and I like playing shinny games and stuff like that. But nowadays, my body couldn't handle that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, hey, lots of memories here from your time with the Wildcats. Appreciate taking some time here for us, and all the best in Vancouver and the rest of your career.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Kris trying to pass, intercepted neatly by Garland, who tips one ahead for Kuzmenko. Back to Garland, in front, he deeks, he scores. The drought is over for Conor Garland, and a muted celebration, understandably so.